Today on an all-new Dr. Phil. Bold and the Beautiful star Tracy Melchior's ugly secret.
My mom has always been a hoarder.
But the soap star's real daytime drama?
There's actually furniture under here. There's a couch. Oh, dear God. I'm stepping in animal feces.
Is off-screen.
The dogs and I live in this bed.
This is unsanitary for dogs.
I wish I could say, Mom, come live with me. I can't invite my childhood into my home.
As a child, there were times when you didn't even have a clean place to sleep.
Yeah.
That's her perspective.
There aren't versions of the truth. There's either a sanitary room or there's not. Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
Today's going to be a changing day in your life.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. Well, our guest today is a professional actress with dramatic roles in some of the most well-known daytime soap operas, like The Bold and the Beautiful and The Young and the Restless. But Tracy's real drama has always been off-screen. She wrote in desperately looking for help for her mother, Robin, who is a compulsive hoarder with a house so cluttered with animals and junk that she has to shower outside. Now, Robin's on the verge of eviction by the sheriff, but she still hasn't packed a single thing, and filmed this little sample of her current living conditions. Take a look.
This is what should be the kitchen. A lot of this is stuff that we pulled out of bedrooms. It's nice to have things to hold me up. This is the bathroom. To see this is just horrifying to me. Just horrifying.
You know, I want it to be horrifying, and when she comes out here and sees her life on these big screens, sometimes it can be a real wake-up call. Now, Tracy says she's kept her mother's dirty little secret for a long time, and dirty is not a big enough word. She says her mom ruined her childhood because she cared more about her objects and her animals than her own children.
My mom has always been a hoarder. My mom's house is vile. She has a very hard time throwing things away, even trash. She'll hang on to newspapers, books, childhood toys. My mom is an animal hoarder as well. There's flies buzzing around. There's dog poop, cat poop. It's overwhelming. She has hoarded everything from chickens, horses, goats, tortoises, but mostly dogs and cats. So right now she is living with 6 dogs and 1 cat. My mom wasn't always around when we were kids. She was pretty absent. My sister and I were left to fend for ourselves. To get ourselves to school, food was always scarce. I remember one point I ate dog food. Didn't care for the taste, so I tried a dog bone. I always felt dirty, and I didn't want people physically close to me. My clothes smelt like my home. It was always embarrassing. When I was 5, my mom sent us to live with my grandma, and we lived there for about 5 years until my grandfather passed away. My mom has done immense damage to me psychologically growing up. When I've tried to confront my mom with things from the past, she gets very explosive, very defensive, and you're left to feel like a horrible person because she's sick. I do want her to recognize the damage she has done. In the last 5 years, my mom's hoarding has gotten so out of control. She's on the verge of being evicted, and that really scares me. My mom is very self-sabotaging. She's her own worst enemy. We have all tried to help my mom. There's just no point. We're just gonna end up right back here again.
Well, it's been 8 years since Tracy paid a visit to really observe her living conditions. Now, our cameras were with her for her emotional return.
We're outside of my mom's house, and it's probably been about 8 years since I've been inside the house. The nose has a memory, I guess, because just starting to smell it as I walk in has a profound psychological effect on me.
Here, let me sweep up.
Yeah, the mask doesn't really help.
Babies.
All right, so this is the living room. There's actually furniture under here. There's a couch. This smell is pretty hard to bear right now. I just can't even describe it. Walking through is like an obstacle course. You cannot even go a step without stepping on something. I take you to the grocery store. Where are you putting groceries? Oh, dear God. I don't know even what to say. I know this isn't healthy. There's several times where we can't reach her because she'll lose her phone. Well, no wonder she loses her phone. How could you find anything in here? Oh, God. I'm stepping in animal feces right now, and there's bugs all over the floor. Apparently, my mom rescued some chickens and let them live in here. I'm embarrassed. I feel somewhat guilty not doing anything sooner. Here's a movie I did, poster, randomly out here. It's always nice. She has to have these things and she won't let them go, but she doesn't treat them with any respect. It's very confusing. Everything just loses value and gets destroyed. I've tried to help her so many times and our efforts are sabotaged or just not accepted. This is the worst I've seen her live in. I'm the one who has to pull up to this driveway and worry. She's gonna be dead in this. It's horrible.
So glad to meet you, and I'm so sorry that not only that you're having to deal with this now, but that you've dealt with this your whole life. What was this like growing up as a child? This had to be just terrible.
It brings on an enormous amount of shame, and it makes it really hard to get close to people when you can't have friends over for play dates.
Right.
There's just, you know, when you grow up in a home that smells, it permeates into your clothes, and I get...
Into your hair, your skin, everything, right?
Yeah. So it's like I grew up not like letting people get physically close to me.
Did kids tease you about that?
I don't recall being teased. I just remember reactions where people would be like, what is that smell? And I would just sink because I knew it was me.
I understand that she has been evicted legally. I mean, they've gone through the process, so the sheriff has served, and she's being evicted in just a matter of, well, at this point, it can be any minute, right?
The sheriffs are any minute going to post a 5-day notice to move, yes.
That's any minute. I mean, she could, because there's a lot of stuff there. Does she have any plan of where to go?
She was thinking maybe stay in a hotel for a while.
And what are you going to do with the animals? What's the plan for the animals?
That is a huge source of frustration for me because to me it's not about the animals, and there's been a lot of focus on the perfect home for them, and to me I'm like, really? Anything's going to be an improvement?
Well, yes. I mean, these dogs are living, this is unsanitary for dogs, let alone for your mother.
It's a dog kennel, and it's not clean enough for a dog, I agree.
Yeah, seriously, if ASPCA sees this, and they will, they'll have a real problem with these dogs because this dog has a broken foot.
I know. I saw that for the first time when I went in with you guys.
That dog has a broken foot. That was the first thing. I'm a big animal advocate. This dog has a broken foot, and it's not being attended to.
Right.
So that can create a problem and get gangrenous, and that dog can die. I mean, this is animal abuse is what she's doing. She's not rescuing these animals. This is an abuse situation.
And that's why I'm here, because I have felt so much, of a need to do something, and it's really hard to know what to do and how to do it and where to begin with all of this, but I know something needs to be done.
Yeah. Well, can we agree that necessity is the mother of invention?
Yes.
All right, coming up, Tracy says it takes her mom forever to get out of the house, and it's rare that she ever spends much time away from home. But she actually is here today. So we're going to meet her when we come back.
I
have trouble throwing garbage away. That's ridiculous. I have 6 dogs living with me right now and a cat. The dogs and I live in this bed. I never have people over. I dream about, gee, how nice it would be to have somebody for dinner, but there's no way.
And later, there were times when you didn't even have a clean place to sleep, correct?
Correct. That's her perspective.
There's
And
look, there aren't versions of the truth.
I am appalled by the way I'm living. I have not been excited, optimistic, or had hope in a very long time. This is exactly what drowning looks like. This is it. This is above water drowning.
Well, Tracy came to me for help with her mother, who is just really days, could be hours away from eviction due to her hoarding. But Robin says that she is called to collect things and doesn't like any family members in her house because they judge her. Take a look.
When I was a kid, my mother, who hated me, called me Rob the Slob. It stuck with me. Like a gopher, I get in my hole and I gather things around me so I'm protected. If nobody's coming, nobody's gonna hurt me. It's so controlling, so overpowering, and it's so debilitating. I don't drink, never been a smoker, but apparently I'm addicted to this. I have trouble throwing garbage away. That's ridiculous. I don't smell it. I don't smell the difference from walking out or walking in. I don't smell it. If I get something that I like, I don't want to get rid of it. I mean, what is your function? None. But I'm attached. That's a Easter basket. Horse. Does he serve a purpose? Hell no. Am I attached to him? Yeah, I'm attached to him. If I go to pick up something off the floor, I fall over. Watch your step. Some of this has saved me a couple of times, or I'd be in here stuck. I've created pathways out the glass doors and out the front door. The kitchen is not usable right now. It would be usable if it was cleaned up, but I've just let it go. I haven't cared. I just haven't cared. I have a microwave and a refrigerator in the garage. Frozen food to the microwave. I nuke what I can in here. I plug it in right here. That's how I eat. The refrigerator that's in the kitchen doesn't work. I have not opened the freezer 6, 7, 8 years. Oh, stop. I have 6 dogs living with me right now and a cat. No, soldier, stay. No, soldier, you little wuss. The dogs and I live in this bed. In this house, I've had 2 horses, 3 tortoises, 2 goats. Up until recently, there were chickens in here. I never have people over. I dream about, gee, how nice it would be to have somebody for dinner, but there's no way. My grandkids haven't been in the house in about 6 or 7 years. I don't want to pass this mess on to my kids or my grandkids. The landlord has threatened me with eviction. I could be homeless any day out on the street with my grocery cart and my dogs.
Okay, it's good to meet you. Now, you've actually been here before.
Yes.
You've been in the audience.
Yes. And I'd actually written to the show a couple of times, and I'd actually tried to, pray you into my life.
Well, here I am. There you go. And let me tell you, I'm here because I want to help you. You don't like living this way.
No.
And you really bond with animals and things.
Yes.
Why?
Well, there's animals have been the only place I've ever been safe. And that is no judgment, no ridicule, no disgust, no abuse, none of that. It's the only safe place I've had since a very small child.
Okay, and you realize that that's what I refer to as relating down. You're you're not dealing at a peer level, you're relating to animals which make no demand of you.
Right.
As far as you don't have to have an intelligent conversation, you don't have to perform, you don't have to get dressed and go to dinner, you don't have to interact and problem solve, you don't have to, there's no demands on you and there's no risk. As long as you feed them, they're not going to reject you.
Right.
What is your connection to the objects that you collect?
Well, it's not exactly a collection type of a thing. It's that from the time I was little, I wasn't allowed to have possessions. So anything you had, my mother would come in and go through your drawers and take stuff out, and you weren't allowed to have it. Everything I did was wrong. Everything I did resulted in some form of abuse, being yelled at, being smacked, being punished, being embarrassed and humiliated in front of friends. But the objects never rejected me. They never, I wasn't allowed to own myself.
But you own these things,
Well,
which you weren't allowed to before,
correct.
but now you can.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that. Coming up, Tracy says that forgiving her mom for her childhood has been a challenge because her mom is in denial of the past that she's inflicted on her. We'll be right back.
I don't recall ever not having food in the house, ever. Tracy never had to eat dog food. I never witnessed or experienced that anybody had to eat a milk bone to be fed. She didn't experience my experience, and I didn't experience her experience. The children were always taken care of.
And later, here's a picture of Tracy's living room versus your living room. Wouldn't you like to have a home like this?
Dr. Phil, this is not intentional. I trust animals more than humans. I will feed them before I feed me. The animals never, ever have turned on me. I am super sensitive to being criticized, put down. And never do you walk in the door and your dog says, "Where the hell were you? What are you wearing? You're stupid." They don't do that.
Now, Mike Bear is a very dear friend of mine, and he's a life coach. Coach Mike focuses on helping his clients break free of destructive patterns that aren't yielding the results that they want in their life. And Coach Mike spoke with Robin about what's behind the behavior that we've been talking about. Let's take a look. He paid to visit. Let's take a look.
Dr. Phil asked me to sit down with Robin and get to know her in her home environment. I'm going to have to wear a mask when I walk through the house for my own safety. Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
I already know your eyes.
This is your family.
Well, I rescue and I adopt them out.
Do you want to just walk through and maybe we'll find a place outside?
Yeah.
There's a lot of dog homes.
When you rescue, you have to be prepared.
I'm a life coach. I've been doing it for over 15 years,
Okay.
all around the world. What I'm curious about, how's it for you to accept help?
I've put up quite a few walls because in the early days, I was the target child. If my mother was alive today, I'd still be the target child.
It sounds like the past has gripped a hold of you still, choking you. And the memories then create anxiety.
Yeah, I've extreme anxiety disorder, extreme depression. I'm a mess.
Do you think your dogs think you're a mess?
Well, they're either that or I'm the bionic woman.
But
It's hard to tell.
why do you think you've spent your life rescuing other things, but then for yourself?
I wasn't worthy of being rescued.
And the thing is about myself and Dr. Phil is we rescue people when they want to be rescued.
Of course.
Right? We never force a rescue. What do you want to be better in your life today?
I would love to learn how to rescue myself And I'm fully aware you can't do it alone. I need a new direction. And I need desperately to purge myself of the bombarding of, I'm evil, I'm no good, you're stupid, you're Rob the Slob.
The noise.
The noise.
You're willing to maybe finally do the work to take care of
Yeah.
you. Sounds like we have a plan then. We'll sit down with Dr. Phil.
I'm ready, I'm willing, and Godspeed, I'm able.
Good. Let's do it.
Thanks.
So tell me, you were there. What was your perception of Robin's relationship with all the things that are in her environment, all the things that she's gathered, the animals, the objects, the things? What was your perception of her connection?
My perception of your connection, Robin, was that you're not a collector, you're a rescuer of objects, of animals, and that you have this strong bond to them still today, and that it's very hard for you to be in the moment because you're carrying everything from the past.
You know, a family legacy is the powerful programming that your upbringing has had on your choices and your behaviors as an adult and then as a parent. So the way you were treated as a child, whether you want it to or not, influences the way you behave as a parent. And you weren't treated well as a child, and there were times when you didn't even have a clean place to sleep, correct?
Correct, yeah.
That's the truth, right?
Yes.
Is that the truth?
That's her perspective.
There's
And
look, there
I-
aren't versions of the truth. There's either
Yeah.
a clean bed or there's not. There's
Well,
either a
there's-
sanitary room
Yeah,
or there's
right.
not.
Their rooms were not unsanitary. I slept with the dog. They didn't.
How did the house smell, Mike?
Oh, it depended which room and which step you took.
It smelled bad.
Apparently, I don't smell it.
Okay, well, I'm looking here, and I have to say,
That smelled bad. That smelled bad.
okay, that smelled bad. This has to smell bad. Then there's a room in here that was just covered with feces and all, and if it's covered with visible feces, then you know it's also covered with urine, and urine turns to ammonia, and ammonia, this can't be good.
That's where I kept the chickens that came. They
Oh,
fly
my God.
into the yard,
Yeah,
and I rescue them until we can get them to farms.
gotcha. Now, you're getting ready to be evicted, right?
Well, yes, that is a problem.
We are sitting here pissed off as hell. Can I say that?
Just did.
And at the same time, sad for you. I wish I could say, Mom, come live with me. I can't. To invite my childhood into my home. I can't. But the thought of you being homeless, and that's why these guys are here, and God bless them for, doing this and helping, but
Well, she could be homeless, or she could live with you, or there could be another alternative. And I want to talk about that other alternative when we come back. If you are evicted and there's none of this collection there and nowhere to put things, can you be okay with that?
I've done it.
Well, that's not what I asked you.
hello, come on in. I live a little differently than my mom. I've worked really hard to try and keep my house nice. Having this house means so much to me because growing up, I could never have people over. It was too embarrassing. I could not have sleepovers, have friends just over for a play date, anything. Even if a boy was picking me up to go out, I would be waiting outside. So to be able to just open a door and not be scared, it's just such a nice feeling.
If you are evicted, and so you have to go to a smaller place and it is empty and clean, and there's none of this collection there and nowhere to put things, Can you be okay with that?
I've done it.
Well, that's not what I asked you.
Yeah, well, obviously I was okay with it.
That's not what I asked you.
Okay, yeah, I can.
You can be now.
Yes.
Because people are different at different times. I'm saying, can you now?
That's the point. People are different at different times.
There you go.
That's the point. That's why I trusted you to come here, because that's exactly it.
You lived in clutter and all at the time, and you live very differently now. And that's how I want you to be able to live. You know, here is a picture of Tracy's living room versus your living room. And here's a picture of Tracy's dining room versus your dining room. And this isn't a foot race or a competition, but the reason I'm pointing this out is because she came through this and is living in a way that you can have people over and you can have kids in and you can this, and you can do the same thing. And wouldn't you like to have a home like this where you could feel comfortable? And
Dr. Phil, this is not intentional.
right. And you said to Coach Mike when you were sitting down with him that you do have a lot of anxiety. You do have a lot of depression. I think as long as you're experiencing that anxiety and depression, you're going to be driven to try to cope with it in certain ways. If you had a way to alleviate that anxiety, if you had a way to alleviate that depression, if you had a new way to hit the reset button at this time that you want to change, you would do that, right?
Yes.
You want to be
Yes.
free of that.
I wouldn't be here if I didn't.
And I want to tell you what my plan is for that, okay?
Okay.
But I have to
I'm
ask
gonna
you.
leave now.
No. But I have to ask you one other thing. I did, this is kind of a little off the subject, but I noticed that one of your dogs had a broken foot.
Yes.
Would it be okay with you if I got a vet involved to take care of that dog's foot?
Well, yeah, she's been to the vet, they x-rayed, they cast it and splinted it and everything, and it didn't heal.
Would it be all right if I had someone look at it?
Yes, of
And do it,
course.
'cause
She's
I'm-
in the back with the...
Yeah, well, while she's here, we could take those steps because I want to take care of that. I want to take care of that dog.
Thank you.
Okay, and I do have a plan, and I'm going to talk about what that is when we come back. Closed captioning provided by...
When Tracy came out and said, "Mom, are you willing to go on Dr. Phil?" I cried because it was like a dam burst. I'm so ready. And you know what? I haven't been ready. And I trust Dr. Phil. He's not about judging me, not about ridiculing me, not about calling me Rob the Slob. I know that I'm safe bearing my soul to Dr. Phil.
Well, Robin says that by being on the show, God is telling her that she's worth saving because she's been praying for an opportunity like this. She says that she needs to get herself fixed so that her family has a chance. You know, Tracy, let me say something to you first. You know, the past is over, the future hasn't happened yet. The only time is now. And we can't change what has happened. You know, we really can't. And your mother can't give you what she doesn't have. At this point, you know, hoarding is a disorder. It's an anxiety-driven disorder, and it's described as a persistent difficulty discarding or parting with possessions due to a perceived need to save and/or the distress that's associated with discarding things. So it's a strong, emotional, powerful sort of thing. And you can say, well, you hold on to things that have some meaning or value, and for her, like everything has a meaning or value because she's rescued these things.
It's very frustrating, though, when she wants me to empathize with her and not hold her accountable because of her bad childhood while she was ruining mine. And that's what's hard.
And this is the whole point of this generational legacy of this gets passed on and on and on, and it has to stop at some place. And I can't change that for you today. That's what I mean when I say she can't give you what she doesn't have today, but she might be able to give it to you very soon if I do some things with and for her that will change her ability to empathize and see things through other people's eyes rather than be in survival mode. And so that may change very soon, but that doesn't mean it's going to change today.
What?
But if
We're out of here.
but if we get these things fixed, I think you two can have a much more empathetic and adult-to-adult conversation about this. You're going to be out of this house very soon, like it or not. I do think you have a hoarding disorder, and everyone is different. They do it for different reasons in different ways. I think for you, it's very anxiety-driven, and I think anxiety often occurs with depression, and I think it's trauma-induced. And what I propose to do is to intervene in that with you in a very intense way. I want to send you to a place called Onsite. And Onsite is just outside of Nashville, Tennessee. It's on 100 acres of rolling hills and some of the most beautiful real estate in the world. And it is a worldwide leader in trauma-based workshops for people. There's going to be a lot of moving parts in this because you're going to be out of this house and you're not ever going to be able to go back to it, and because somebody else is going to live there after a while. We have a nice apartment for 6 months that will be furnished and set up close to your husband and family, courtesy of Bridge Property Management. Now, this luxury community was custom built and features lots of amenities for your comfort, including a sparkling pool, fire pits, and a clubhouse area.
It's perfect, because what I love about that 6-month plan too is it gives a time to rebuild some trust.
Right. We'll have a therapist involved that'll continue the work that starts at Onsite and go on from there. That would be my plan, unless you have a better one.
Yes, I do. The better plan I have is to go along with whatever you say.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Will you tell your husband that we didn't pick on you? Okay.
Well, let me
All
tell
right.
you something.
All right.
Her oldest son is almost 18, and I let my husband know that I was coming here. And he goes, no, you can't do that. My grandson, her son, said, Grandpa, we're talking about Dr. Phil here.
I raised him right.
Yes, you did.
And that's a kid,
All right.
The granddaughter's in the audience, and
Right.
she speaks as highly of you.
Well, good. Thank you. She's out here. All right. We got a great plan then. All right. Coming up, a comedian who doesn't find her daughter preparing for college very funny. We'll meet them after the break. Closed captioning provided by... Now, one of the toughest transitions for parents is when their children are preparing to head off to college. Now, Robin and I went through that with our boys, Jay and Jordan. Now, my next guest, Sunda, is going through that right now with her 17-year-old daughter, Aviva. Now, here's their story.
Now I got Satan and Lucifer. That's right. My teenage daughters.
I'm a comedian. I love making people laugh. Listen, I got this new joke.
My mom is infuriating at times. She makes jokes to the point where it's just like, ugh.
What's so stressful? My daughter Viva is just going crazy about which college she wants to go to.
I want to study musical theater, singing, acting, dancing, but applying for colleges is so nerve-wracking.
I'm more stressed about Aviva going to college than Aviva is.
Please, Mom.
One of the most challenging things is going to the doctor's office with my daughter.
She has this habit of speaking for me. Let me speak. I hate when people think they know me better than I know myself.
I'm not going to quit being a mom now just because you go to college. She'll always be my baby. Can I get a kiss?
Nope.
Well, joining me now are Sunda, her daughter Aviva, and my good friend, Dr. Frida Lewis Hall, Chief Medical Officer of Pfizer. So thank you all for being here. Sunda, what are your greatest concerns about her leaving for college?
I guess you have an idea of how stressful it is thinking, is she going to be home tonight? Is she with the right friends? I want to be in that loop, you know?
Yeah. How do you feel about her being in the loop, as she says?
I'm sort of an independent person at times, but there's like certain times where I'd like to have business to myself.
Well, Dr. Frida, this situation is so typical. So where does this go?
As a mother of three, I know that, you know, one of the most challenging and exciting parts of being a parent is watching and helping your child be their own person. Going away to college is sometimes one of the most challenging parts of that transition. Sunda, I think you mentioned how concerned you were about making sure that Aviva really was ready to take care of the health aspects as she went away. And so the two of you can actually do some things together that would prepare Aviva to be more ready to take an active role in managing her own health and to know what to do when mama's not there.
What's the best place to start?
Making an appointment to get a wellness checkup, which teens should have annually. Make a list of the topics that you want to discuss. This will help you be organized when you get into the doctor's office, but it'll also help Aviva kind of raise some of the issues that she may want to talk about, that she has her own concerns about: physical development, sexual health, mental health. We have a teen health checklist on gethealthystayhealthy.com, which you can download. So talk to your teen about the behaviors that may put them at risk when they go away to school, like living in close quarters, sharing drinks, food, utensils, and makeup. These are all typical teen behaviors, but they're things that might put you at risk for exposure to things like the flu.
Yeah, and college students have an increased risk for meningococcal disease, right?
There is extra exposure. And you mentioned meningococcal disease, which is uncommon but serious. And it can attack without warning and spread quickly through the close quarters like in colleges. Now, this is a disease that causes inflammation of the protective membrane over the brain and the spinal cord, and it can also lead to serious blood infections. The early symptoms are very similar to the flu: fever, headache, nausea, and vomiting. So it's really important for parents and teens who are at risk to know those symptoms and to not ignore them.
Okay, so what can these two do now to help protect Aviva before she takes off for college?
There's a set of recommended immunizations that you could start with. And these may help protect against influenza or the flu and meningitis, which we just talked about, as well as other things. Hepatitis B, human papillomavirus, and tetanus. And talk to your doctor about the vaccination schedule at the schools that Aviva is applying to, because these may vary from school to school and state to state. And it's also important that you do this while Aviva is a senior in high school, because most vaccines need to be given before you get to college, or they're given over a period of time.
And also mental health is important to discuss.
Absolutely. Don't shy away from thinking about the mental health aspects. And then there's some things that you can do to help maintain your balance and reduce stress. So you want to get, good sleep, you want to eat healthily, keep your exercise program up. You want to establish a good social network. And then last but not least, the things to avoid: tobacco, drugs, and alcohol. I also want to suggest that you establish resources for helping you manage your health. So in addition to your family doctor, you want to think about the pharmacist, a nurse, the team at the student health center. And you want to get to know these resources before you need them. Mom, you might want to help identify an online health information resource that is trusted so that you know where to go when you have questions. You can start with gethealthystayhealthy.com, and there's information there that'll help you stay healthy as you go away to college and beyond. And of course, while you're there, you can sign up for the newsletter.
All right. I want to thank all of my guests today, especially Dr. Frida Lewis Hall. A special thank you to Coach Mike Baer, the founder and CEO of Cast Networks, and also Miles Adcox and the team at OnSite. And a special thanks to Bridge Property Management for offering such a beautiful open concept one-bedroom unit at the Crossing Apartments in Southern California. We'll see you next time. All right.